Here's your host and broker-owner of the Dan Gemus Real Estate Team, Dan Gemus.
Welcome to the show, everyone. I have my partner in crime with me today, Susan Reaume. How are you, Sue?
Excellent. Good morning.
Well, good morning to you. You took your kayak in this morning?
Oh, my right shoulder's killing me. Oh.
All this rain has been brutal, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's
Holy moly. Lots of great stuff planned for the next hour. We're going to chat with a guest about mortgage and title fraud and learn how you can protect yourself a little later on in the show. We have our home staging and mortgage tips of the week coming up as well. And if you were with us last week, Kathy shared a funny real estate story with us. And I promised I would get to mine this week, so I will do that. And I think Sue has a funny one as well, don't you, Sue?
Oh, I do. Depends in the eyes of the beholder, I suppose.
Well, I hope it's funny, because now the pressure is kind of, everyone's heard about this all week. Now they're hoping to get a good laugh this morning. I think they will. So, but first off, it's a big day for Windsor Essex today. The Parkway.
Oh, yes, I know. Tonight.
I know. Sue and I are going to be in line.
Yes, we are.
I wonder how they do it. Do they just is there like a lineup and people just kind of wait?
I think it's kind of like a derby, right?
Is it?
A red flag and a checker flag
and go.
Go.
Producer Chris, you coming with us? Let's do it. It'd be fun. But no, I'm really curious, actually. 8 kilometers. It's been in the works forever.
Yeah.
And it's an exciting time. Sue, I remember, when did this start? 5 years ago or so? It seems like it's been forever. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget showing houses, in that LaSalle area by the outlet mall there, and people were panicking. Before construction actually started, people were panicking because they had no idea what to expect, right? And I had a house listed on Betts, which is literally now right next to the Parkway. And, how do you sell a house that people know this thing's coming, but they don't know whereabouts? They can see, okay, it's right over there.
Yep.
Beyond the bush.
You can see it. Now let's turn around and look at the other things.
Yes. Turn around. But now that it's all said and done, it's beautiful. People don't seem to mind anymore. Now that they see, right? People like to see. Yeah. It's like when you build a house, and how do you sell a house on paper, right? People want to see it and touch it and feel it.
Yeah.
And now that it's out there and it's built, it's not that huge of an issue. But I am super excited to get on there and
oh, it's going to be great.
And drive it.
It's going to be fantastic, really. I think with the turnarounds, though, it's going to be interesting. Okay, navigate yourselves, folks.
Those good old turnarounds.
I know.
It'll be fine. And we should hopefully get some trucks off of the roundabout.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Those tipping trucks.
And all these people. I know. I was trying to merge one time, and they're just zooming through. Like, there's no 30K in anybody's. I know.
Do you panic with those things? Do you have a hard time with those roundabouts?
Yeah, sometimes I do.
I don't see what the big deal is. It's not that complicated to me.
Well, it's just when there's
Follow the arrow, folks.
Yeah.
Follow the arrow.
Well, it just depends, right? It just depends how big the one's coming on the left, right? And if there's 6 or 7 of them.
You feel like a transport trucks that have been in front of me in those roundabouts. They don't care. They don't wait till someone is not
true.
coming. They just go
that
and you'll wait for them. You have no choice but to do that, right?
Yeah.
But it should be a good time.
It's kind of
life. Congratulations to everyone who worked on that. My brother-in-law works for Amico, so he was one of them that did lots of work on there, and I think everyone's excited to see it, wrap up and about 90% done.
Yeah, that would be an interesting job, though, for sure. Being one of those people standing, the guards, the people that flag the people to go through, and what are they called? The guards.
If somebody could call us and let us know, I don't know. Yeah, good question. My dad used to do that years. Well, obviously when he was a kid, but
tough job.
Which is not a kid anymore, Dad.
No. Poor Dad. There goes the bus.
No, it should be a good time, and I'm excited to drive it and see it coming up. It was fun to watch the renderings, the 3D renderings back when they first started, to see what it would look like. Give you an example, and it would just be
all on a board.
And how fast they popped. They dug an 11-kilometer hole faster than they can build an overpass over Howard. I don't understand it. I don't get
something?
It's true.
I know. And look at all the other traffic that's going to be coming through this summer with Paulette and the road changes there. And I know they're just everywhere in Walker Road at the expressway. And
now folks have to deal with the construction on Todd Lane.
Sure.
But again, stuff has to get done.
That's right.
When else do you do it, right?
Yeah.
It's
and we'll be a better city for it.
It will.
Absolutely.
I found this fun story online the other day. How the Queen made a killing on real estate. Get this. The Queen of British real estate just happens to be, well, the Queen.
Imagine that.
As in, she's making a killing on surging commercial property market. Here's how it works. There's an independent company known as the Crown Estate, which dates back to George III, and whose profits go to the government. The government in return pays the Queen 15% with a 2-year lag. The Crown Estate this week reported a record return to Britain's Treasury of £285.1 million, almost $560 million, marking a jump of 6.7% from last year and 50% over the course of a decade.
Huh.
Given that, the Queen can expect about £42.8 million in a couple of years.
That's a lot of shortbread.
What do they? It's a lot of shortbread. What do they do with that money?
Don't know.
I guess they just gallivant and
Isn't
just
that
live
something?
their life, eh? Isn't that crazy? There are other pieces of the group as well, notably offshore wind projects. As it reported its results, it boasted of beating the market. Over 10 years, we have nearly doubled the value of the business by delivering world-leading business destinations and 21st century retail experiences, driving investment in the UK's renewable energy industry and actively managing one of the nation's largest rural land portfolios.
Fantastic.
Isn't that something? Well, we got to go invest in some real estate over in the UK.
Yes, I think we should send one of ours over.
Hey, in fact, we just did.
I know. One of our team members.
Andrew Paper, our media marketing guy, is out in the UK for 2 weeks. He's from the UK and he's out at a wedding for 2 weeks.
Yeah, good for him.
I told him to give him 3 days off, but he needed 2 weeks. Okay, it's time to take a look at our mortgage tip of the week with RBC Mobile Mortgage Specialist Kyle Lucier. Hey, Kyle, how are you?
Hey, how's it going?
Very good, thank you. And today's mortgage tip is
Amortizations.
So tell us all about that.
So the main amortization, essentially, that is the length of time that you have your mortgage. So the most people go with the 25-year.
Yes.
The reason for that is they put less than 20% down, and that is the new maximum amortization that you can use, or life of your mortgage.
Wow. In the past, we've seen much longer AMs, haven't we? We've seen
up to 40 years.
Wow.
And they've really brought those down. Now, again, with a 20% down payment or less, you're looking at the 25-year. If you have the 20% or more, you're looking at actually the 30-year if you want. But most people still seem to be sticking around the 25 just because the payments are still affordable.
Yes.
And they won't have their mortgage forever.
Fantastic. Now, people do have the option to speed up their payments. They can do weekly or monthly pay, or bi-monthly, bi-weekly, bi-monthly,
Yeah.
bi-weekly,
Yeah.
bi-yearly. You can do bi-yearly payments too.
So yeah, you could do anything from weekly, bi-weekly, semi-monthly, or monthly payments. A lot of the time it comes down to convenience, but there is some savings there if you go more towards the weekly versus the monthly.
You're squeezing a couple of extra payments throughout the year.
And then you're getting your payment to the bank a little bit quicker, so really the interest is just a little bit less every time.
So what's your advice to a buyer listening today and they're asking you about amortization? What would you tell them?
Most people, I try to keep the payments really is the key thing. So when you think of amortization, you got to think of what your payment's going to be. So keeping it affordable, but also making sure you don't have that mortgage for longer than you really want it.
Fantastic. Thanks for the great tips, Kyle. That's RBC Mobile Mortgage Specialist Kyle Lucier. Hang tight. When we come back, we talk all about mortgage fraud.
Welcome back to the Dan Gemus Real Estate Show, an advertising feature on AM800. Here's your host and broker-owner of the Dan Gemus Real Estate Team, Dan Gemus.
Many of us have noticed what seems to be an increase in online scams, phone scams, identity theft, and Ponzi schemes over the last few years. However, one type of fraud that we don't typically talk about that much is mortgage fraud. Our guest this segment has recently authored a 2-part series on mortgage and title fraud. And on the phone with us today from beautiful Vancouver, BC to tell us all about it is Alisa Aragon, mortgage and leasing expert with Dominion Lending Center's Mountain View. Hello, Alisa. How are you today?
Good. How are you, Dan?
I'm very good, thank you. How's the weather out there in Vancouver?
Oh, it's just stunning, beautiful.
Well, I can imagine. You have some mountains. We're pretty flat here, so it doesn't get too exciting around here. So what's the main reason you decided to write this 2-part series on mortgage and title fraud?
Well, this is certainly a topic that, as you mentioned, is not really commonly known, or people don't really pay a lot of attention to it, but it could have huge consequences, especially with real estate being one of your biggest investments.
Yeah.
So we wanted to actually let people know and be more aware of it.
That's great. Now, who, or I guess, what's the best way to explain mortgage fraud? I know it's a broad topic, but what's the best way to explain it?
Pretty well. Mortgage fraud occurs when you kind of provide. People think that if they actually provide false documents or make false statements, it's not a big deal. But actually, it is a very big deal because it is actually part of the criminal code, and you can actually be charged for criminal offense, which is a big deal. But mostly, mortgage fraud involves like pretty well a criminal or somebody obtaining a property. With falsifying documents or not knowing or asking somebody to assist them with it. That usually happens more also when there's like grow-ups or meth labs, that kind of, but it could happen to anybody.
Give me an idea of some different things that people could falsify on a mortgage application.
Their income, for example, that's huge. Or pretty well one of the things that they might do is ask somebody to borrow their name and credit information to obtain a mortgage. This can be very high, especially with elderly and seniors, just because they're sometimes a little bit more trusting and they're an easier target, unfortunately. So that's something that can happen. Or certain things are not totally completed in the application, so there's a lot of gaps happening. They just ask you kind of just sign, not a lot of stuff in there.
And I have the list here in front of me as well, some suggestions, and some of them really, if you look at them, some people might not even think it's fraudulent. It's just they might be fibbing a little, I guess, is a good way to look at it, right?
Yep, exactly.
Which, you can get caught up in that, and that could be dangerous. How can somebody protect themselves from mortgage fraud?
For mortgage fraud, it's pretty well just really be careful about the information you share. A lot of people, even now with the internet and social media, especially Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn, is they're putting information out there for the personal stuff. Is like, I just saw recently a lady that she just got a permit for her driving boat, and it had her address and it had her her full name and everything, and I'm like, wow. So I actually sent her private notes. I'm like, you might consider to take this off, just because you never know who's actually looking at this information. And there's actually professional criminals out there, and they will actually take years to actually develop and kind of take the identity of somebody, and it will be a huge scam. But they will take years, and they will search the internet, they will search anything. So you really need to be careful what stuff you're putting out there, and also who you're actually giving it to.
Yeah, that's always the case, right? Now, I'm seeing a term here in the article, straw buyer schemes. Can you explain that?
Yeah, absolutely. So that is when, for example, sometimes a renter doesn't have the best credit, or you're self-employed and you can't get a mortgage. You don't have enough down payment, but they're pretty well, they can't purchase a property. So what they do is somebody approaches them and says, you know what, I will offer you 10 grand or a certain amount of money. And then why don't you actually buy a property kind of on my behalf using their information? So again, if those are different, there's different ways of getting scams done, right? So if it doesn't sound right to you, or there's something that, kind of people say, follow your gut. If there's something that doesn't sound right for you, or you have questions, make sure you stop and ask, and do not proceed signing anything or going any further until you're actually satisfied and happy with the answers you got.
And I guess one of the biggest things as well is maybe making sure you utilize the services of a reputable mortgage person, right?
Exactly. And that's the thing too, is when you're looking to mortgage, you're going to be working with a mortgage expert, even anyone in the bank. Like, you never know, right? Just make sure that you actually check if they're licensed. As mortgage experts, we have to be licensed. We are registered in our own province, as well as check our websites, check the testimonials. Normally, you actually are referred to a mortgage expert through the phone, through a friend or a family, or somebody already that has used their services, or their office or somewhere. But actually do check their credentials. Also, I would suggest actually go and meet with them so you can see them face to face and you feel comfortable working with them, not just send documents and, just send me your documents, fill out the application. And I know there's some mortgage brokers that says, just send me the application and then we'll go from there. If you're not comfortable doing with that, actually don't. Work with somebody that will actually go and sit down with you, or you meet them face to face.
Well, which is always better. And you're right. Sometimes people just want things by phone, or they want you to start sending private information by email. And not everyone is comfortable with that. We often see our elderly clients, very nervous about that. Whereas my generation, we're almost too lax, right? It's always just, you know what, that's fine. I'll just email it to you. I'll text you my SIN, my everything else, right? And obviously that's where it all starts. And you start finding issues there, don't you?
Absolutely. So really be protective of information that you share, and do not give it out until you're comfortable and you know who you're dealing with. Absolutely.
Fantastic. Listen, I'm chatting with Alisa Aragon from Dominion Lending Centers, Mountain View in Vancouver. Alisa, what do you say we take a quick break here? When we come back, we're going to talk about another type of fraud, title fraud, which is also important. Okay, so do you mind holding on a quick sec?
Not at all.
Perfect. We'll be right back after this.
Here's Dan Gemus, your host and broker-owner of the Dan Gemus Real Estate Team.
Welcome back, everyone. If you're just joining us, I'm chatting with Alisa Aragon from Dominion Lending Centers, Mountain View in Vancouver, about mortgage fraud. Next, we want to tackle another type of fraud, and it's title fraud.
Yes, it is.
Now, am I correct in saying that typically someone won't know they've been a victim of title fraud until it's too late?
Exactly. Yes. Title fraud usually happens after you become aware of it, after it has occurred, which actually can create a lot more problems. Yeah. But there's great ways that you can actually protect yourself to at least be more on the ball and make sure you kind of prevent yourself from getting in.
Okay. So before we get into the red flags, why don't you tell us exactly, what title fraud is?
Pretty well what happens, title fraud, is somebody actually takes over or possesses your identity. So what they do is they actually registered or they actually create false documents on your name, with your name. And what they do is you could even have a mortgage in your property. So what they do is they kind of go and apply for a mortgage on your behalf using your name and all your identity. And what they do is the other mortgage is actually discharged. So the one you currently have is discharged. So it's released, it's paid out, and then a new mortgage amount is placed on your house. So that person actually takes the funds, because sometimes they might ask for more money. Or at times, this is huge when you actually don't even have a lot of people, and as we were growing up, our parents say, pay off your mortgage first or pay off your mortgage. So there's a lot of older people that they actually don't have any mortgages in their house. They're clear-free title. And this is actually a great target for them because there's nothing registered against the mortgage, so there's nothing being regularly checked. So they could actually just register a mortgage. You would never know it. And the next thing is you're actually getting a phone call. It says, oh, you haven't paid your mortgage. And you're like, what? So that's one of the biggest things.
Could you imagine? I can't even imagine. You, like you said, your house is paid off. You're going about your business, and next thing you know, you have a mortgage on your house, and you don't have the money, and so that's scary. So, what are some red flags?
Red flags that might happen, for example, is like I said, it's something kind of they register something against your property, and you don't really know about it until the bank calls.
Which and I guess there's not that many red flags because, like we said, it doesn't happen until you don't find out until it's too late, right? So
exactly. It's very hard to kind of know the red flag. The red flags will really be the mortgage company calling you, or that you haven't paid your mortgage, or that you just pretty well got a brand new truck. And you're like, I never purchased a truck. You're behind on your payments. That's usually the red flags. But again, usually that's too late because the offense already occurred.
Can you offer the listeners any tips on protecting themselves from identity theft, which is, like you said, this is one of the first things that happens with title fraud?
Absolutely. As we mentioned before, definitely be really aware of what information you share on the internet or over the phone with somebody. Even social media. So don't release that information until you're comfortable and you know who you're working with. The biggest thing is people actually have their social insurance card in their wallet. There's really no need for you to have it. If for some reason you were to lose your wallet, the social insurance number will be there. And that is pretty well the key to everything, to all your finances.
Yeah.
So pretty well, and then there's sometimes that they ask you, it's like, oh, we'll use your social insurance number as an ID, and you're like, no, actually don't even use that as an ID or a PIN number or anything.
Password or
Never
something,
really disclose that. Exactly. One of the biggest things that we do tell all our clients is actually check your credit report regularly. There's actually, you can fax, Equifax and TransUnion. They're two credit bureau agencies. And you can actually get your credit for free. They will mail it to your house. And get it checked at least every 6 months, if not at least once a year, just to make sure that everything in the credit report is accurate and not additional credit was taken or anything else, because that is when identity theft happens as well.
You know, I'm one of those crazy people that checks my credit quite often to make sure nothing's going funky. And I'm with TransUnion. I pay, I want to say $10 a month, and I have unlimited access online. I can check it every day. I can see what's going on. They'll actually email me if something pops up on my credit. If someone looks at my credit or anything like that, which is huge, right? For $10 a month, it's something I definitely see as important. Any other tips you have for folks out there with title insurance or with title fraud or mortgage fraud?
Another thing is definitely check your financial statements. For example, your bank and credit card bills. The credit card bills are huge because sometimes as you see them, it even happens to me when one of my credit cards got compromised about 5 different times. And it was the only way I would have caught it is by looking at the bills. So I noticed, and I'm like, I shopped in Port Moody, and then all of a sudden there was a charge in Oklahoma, and I'm like, how could it be the same person in 2 different countries? So those are the kind of things that it happens sometimes when you're using a credit card, and you're protected from your credit card company. So that's definitely one of the things. Check your statements. One thing that me personally have done is I actually don't really use my debit card. Either I use cash or my credit card. And the reason why I do that is because debit cards is the same thing. They can actually change the pads in the what it's called, I guess. I know the devices at the store, and then they can do that, right? So
it skims the cards,
so that's one of the things that I do. But again, if you do use your credit card, use it as a form of payment, not as a form of financing, which a lot of people, that's what they get into debt and everything else. So that's one of the things that I strongly recommend too.
It's just about discipline. We do the same thing, my wife and I, and we only use credit cards, but at the same time, the money's coming out of your bank account, your debit card. So just put that money on your credit card instead, and you're getting the points, right? Which is which is huge. Listen, that's tons of great tips. Where can people find more information about you and about the article you've written?
The article was actually published in the Real Estate Weekly, so it's rew.ca under mortgages. There it is. Or if anybody wants to contact us, you can contact us at yourmortgagesolutionsgroup.ca.
You're the best, Lisa. Thank you so much for all the help today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It was a great pleasure.
That's Alisa Aragon from Dominion Lending Centers, Mountain View in Vancouver, chatting with us about mortgage and title fraud. Make sure you keep an eye out, folks. It's a big one. Okay, so next we're going to have our home staging tip of the week with Monica Bundy, home stager with the Dan Gemus Real Estate Team. Hi, Monica. What's today's tip?
Hi, Dan. Today is 10 tips on how to prepare for a showing. So when you're having people come to your home, here are the 10 things that you need to do. Number 1, clean your house. I always say clean like it's Christmas or a major holiday. Dust everything. Make sure everything is tidied up. Number 2, open your window coverings. Let the light in. Turn on lights. Most important, don't mix your light bulbs. Make sure every light fixture has light bulbs, but that they're all the same. That's so important. Number 3, take your pets. If you have pets, take them off-site or put them in a room for a showing, or give them to the neighbor for a couple of hours.
Or the garage.
Or the garage is good too. Yeah. Some people are not fond of pets, and that's important. Water and food dishes too for the pets. Make sure those are put away, and the kitty litter is clean. Number 4, flowers on your dining room table. Nothing too major, but just something pretty.
Fake or real?
Real. No fake. I hate the fake.
It's not in anymore?
No, it's not.
Honey.
Yeah, tell Nick that.
I'm kidding. I'm totally
I know. No, she's good. Number 5, have a bin or something or a drawer for your last minute mail. Like if you just got mail that morning and somebody's coming in a couple of hours, you can just quickly throw it in there and it's not laying all over, the kitchen counter. That's something for just quickly to toss your stuff in.
Or
Number
leave
6.
leave your bills out and let someone else pay them.
Oh, okay. Or that. No, Dan, that is another tip.
Okay, I'm sorry. Horrible.
All bills go away. You don't want
This is
anyone
all you.
seeing
This is
that.
all you, yeah.
Right. Nobody wants to see your bills. Number 6, pick up any toys off the floor. Tripping is never good. So make sure there's no kids' toys on the floor. Number 7, make sure that your lawn is cut. Trim your bushes, pull the weeds. Make sure outside is just as beautiful as the inside. Very important. Tip number 8, clean all your windows. No streaks on mirrors, windows, anything that's glass. That's horrible to look at. Number 9, neat beds, clean linens. Make sure, you just didn't wake up and, here you are. Make that bed like you see like when you go to a department store. And number 10, so very important because it's the very first thing you will actually, your scent, you will smell as soon as you get in the house. Make sure there's no pet odors, smoke. Get rid of any of the smells that are not appealing. Let it smell, fresh and clean. So those are your top 10.
Great ideas. Thanks, Monica. We'll talk to you next week.
Okay, thanks, Dan.
That's Monica Bundy, home stager with the Dan Gemus real estate team. Sue, we were just talking about this earlier today. When we show a house,
Yes.
It's a big thing when you walk in and there's not, the best of smells in the house,
Oh
right?
my heavens gracious, I know. And especially this time of year too, because we're fighting like opening the windows, closing the windows, and just the odd smells. And even the smell of human sweat actually. Like from
It doesn't have to be anything harsh. It could just be a little bit of a tint of something, and
Yep.
it can turn a buyer off. It doesn't
That's
take
right.
much.
That's right.
Right?
Absolutely.
The first thing, besides the entrance, it's the first thing really you notice with the house when you walk in is the smell, right? We have a couple more minutes here, so just to go over a couple things with our last interview, ways to protect yourself from identity theft. We went over a couple of things. I want to go over some more, Sue, while we have a couple seconds. Ensure you keep personal information confidential when on the internet or phone until you know who you're dealing with. How many times, like I said in my intro to the interview, how many times are we hearing about different scams online right now?
Oh, it's really scary.
Or phone scams. People are calling and they're threatening,
Well, and they have these phone numbers now that look like your local number.
Yes.
I don't know. Yes. So you're tempted to pick it
VoIP
up, right?
lines. It doesn't take much, right? Only carry minimal information and identification in your wallet. Now, this one, and Alisa talked about it, the social insurance card.
Oh, yes.
I was carrying mine in my wallet up until about a month ago. And really, most people know their number by heart. You don't really need it with you.
But people want an original when you're checking ID.
That's true.
Right? So how are we gonna get over that? What are we gonna do? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good question. Check your credit report regularly. Again, that's a big one.
Oh yes.
I was talking. I have access to my credit report online, and everyone should, in my opinion, do that. You keep good.
It's like when you get your checkup for your teeth.
Yeah.
Right.
If you go to the dentist, I don't. I'm kidding. Haven't been. Check your financial, bank, and credit card statements. Now, again, it's a big one.
Oh, yes, I've caught it a couple of times. I've gotten Air Canada out of Winnipeg. I had no idea that I was going to London, England.
Really?
Yeah.
England.
I know, to see the Queen, clearly.
All those real estate prices. Yeah, that's a huge one. And sometimes I'm guilty. We don't check our statements. We get them in the mail or we get them online and you just delete. Great, I'm sure it's fine. Yeah. Delete.
Well, in
delete.
Everyone's free time, they should be, signing on to their bank account and going through right on their Visa statements. And all your free time.
And all our free time.
That's right.
Well, and we put everything on our credit cards because we want the points.
Yes.
Right? It's all about the points.
I know.
Check your mailbox for mail on a regular basis, if not every day. Well,
yep.
I guess our boxes are locked. Most people's are locked nowadays.
Oh,
but
yeah. We're rural.
Won't be. Well,
so we have to walk to the end of the driveway.
Watch out.
I remember moving into town and
not for long.
I know. I was waiting for somebody to pick up my mail because I came from rural into the town of Amherstburg, right? When I first moved out from my parents' house. Yeah. And I've got, I dropped an envelope in the mailbox and I remember calling my friend who also lived in town. I said, I don't really like this postman. And she says, why? I said, well, I dropped a letter in my mailbox. It's been there for like 4 days. He'll drop me letters, but you think he'll pick up my mail? She said to me, Susan, do you know what those red boxes are at the end of, like on corners?
I always thought they did pick them up, though. They don't pick them up from your mailbox?
No, not if they're.
I thought they did.
Oh boy.
I you know.
Well, they do in the county, of course, right? But yeah, interesting.
Shred and destroy any financial and personal identification documents. So again, how many of us have papers from ages and eons ago that need to be shredded?
Yep, or
do those
burned.
things. Yep. Listen, when we get back, we're going to talk about some funny stories, which we always have fun doing.
Yeah.
And Sue has a good one.
Well, yeah. For somebody else.
For
maybe
somebody else,
listening.
yeah. It'll be funny. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the Dan Gemus Real Estate Show, a paid program on AM800. Here's your host and broker-owner of the largest real estate team in Windsor, Essex, Dan Gemus.
Welcome back to the show. I have with me my partner, Susan Reaume. She's a licensed realtor on the Dan Gemus team. How are you, Sue?
Good.
We're going to get to our funny stories, but first we have a couple of listings we want to mention.
Yes, actually. We have a new listing at 2222 Bing by the hospital there. It's an absolutely adorable one-bedroom. It was a two-bedroom, so you could convert it back, of course.
Yeah.
It's listed at $115,000, and it's just pristine. There's all the flooring and the kitchen's been updated, so you can just move right in. It's perfect for the retiree or for the young couple or just starting out or someone even commuting to school or across the border. Yeah. So that's a nice little listing there. And then 4642 Unicorn in Walkergate Estates. Great raised ranch. That one has just come up as well. And it's got 3 bedrooms on the main, a couple on the lower level, or you could use one as an office den right now with extra living space. Couple of two bath there as well. And that one's listed at $289,900.
Great neighborhoods.
Yeah, it's great.
Neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Busy times. Listen, if you have a home you're thinking of selling as well, give our team a call. We're always looking to help, and we'd be happy to come out and do a free evaluation. 519-566-5565, or visit us online at dangemus.com, and we'd be happy to come say hello. So, our funny stories. We have a few minutes, Sue. Go ahead.
Oh boy,
give us
I'll
your story.
tell you.
It's a good one.
This is one that I probably will take with me for many, many years to come. No word of a lie.
Let's hear it.
Okay. So I was taking through this young couple through a house, and I had brought in my iPad and my phone and my keys and all of this. So we're looking through the house, and we get out into we're going to go look through the garage.
Yeah.
So instead of bringing all my my keys and all of my equipment and everything, I thought, well, you know what? I will just lock the front door, and I'll leave everything inside the house, right? Because we're just going to go through the side door to get to the garage. So
I can see where this is going. It ain't going to be pretty.
No. So we're chit-chatting, and just such a nice young couple. So I'm standing in the doorway to the garage on the stair, and the young guy purchasing the house, he went to pull down the attic stair from inside the garage, right? You know how it's in the ceiling.
Pull down stairs,
the pull down stairs, right? So he was having a hard time with it. So he's trying to grasp on it, and he's struggling. And he said to me, Sue, can you just come here for a second and hold this string? So I stepped away from the door, and I heard the door behind me click in the garage and to the house. And all of a sudden, I had this sinking feeling. And I thought, no, this wouldn't happen to me. It can't, right? It's cold outside. So I go to unlock the door, and it's locked, right? I go to twist the handle, and it's locked. And there we are, the three of us. We're looking at each other, right, in the garage. So thankfully, the garage door itself was open, right?
Yes.
It was a spring day, but it was still chilly. You know, everybody's all anxious, thinking 50 degrees is warm.
Wait a sec. Do you have your shoes?
And we had no shoes. So let's get this straight, okay? My phone, my iPad, my keys, everything is locked in the house. So I'm thinking, what are we going to do now? What are we going to do now? We can't get in. Here I am, supposed to be the professional, know what's going on, and we're locked out, right? So I don't have my
So you
my
broke
roster.
down the door.
Yeah. So we went in. We cut down a tree. No. And I had to get them to call the answering service of the phone number because I didn't have the sales representative's number, the listing agent, on me. Yeah, because my phone was inside the house. So about 45 minutes later, the agent was actually gone to a wedding. So 45 minutes later, the poor homeowners had to come home. I don't know how they tracked them down, yes, and let us out. Yeah, that was interesting.
Did they buy the house?
No.
Oh.
They thought it might be bad karma.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, it was
God,
something.
love those stories. Well, my story is It's not similar, but it's a good one. Showing a house. This is years ago. Showing a house in LaSalle, and I'll never forget it. You book a showing, and the realtor tells me, "Dan, go ahead. You're confirmed. They're on vacation, so there's nobody home." Well, naturally, first-time buyers, the very first house we're seeing,
Yes.
and they're all excited and they're nervous and they're everything else. And I get to the house, and I always, naturally, always knock, even though they told me the house is empty, they're on vacation. I always knock first.
Of course,
And I get the key out of the lockbox, and I open the door, and I always say, "Hello, we're coming in." And nobody answers, so we step inside.
Kids are on vacation.
Kids are on vacation, of course, piece of cake. Step inside and close the door behind us, and wait. Oh, here comes a 20-something-year-old guy, buck naked.
Oh, no!
Right down the hall. And so we all just looked shocked. I said, "I'm so sorry." I said, I was told, you guys were on vacation. I said, "Oh, no, come on in." I said, No, it's okay. We'll step back outside, get dressed. I said, "No, come on in. That's fine." I said, "Well, we'll start downstairs."
Wow.
So it was the weirdest thing. So we get downstairs, and I'm giving them the tour. I said, "Okay, so this is a finished basement. Here's the, the bedroom, and here's the washroom." Open the door, and there's another guy in the washroom.
Oh, no.
I said, "Okay, this is not our day." So I said, "We're going to leave now." It was the most awkward, weird thing.
Isn't that something?
They didn't buy that house either.
Yeah. Imagine that.
How strange.
My goodness.
But we come across the strangest things sometimes.
Uh-huh.
But it was obviously kids left home from vacation,
Yes.
partied the night before.
Yeah.
This is 2:00 in the afternoon.
Isn't that
just
something?
waking up
Just waking up.
to be young again. Boy.
Wow.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll have more stories to tell throughout the
I wonder what the neighbors had
time
to
in the
say.
business.
Well, maybe it was
there it is.
just
Okay.
that area.
Chris is telling us to get back to commercials here. Be right back.
Welcome back to the show, an advertising feature on AM800. Here's Dan Gemus, your host and broker owner of the Dan Gemus Real Estate Team.
Well, great show. Thanks for joining me, Sue.
Oh, it was my pleasure.
Will I see you next week?
Well, no, actually, I don't know if
You
you
have
will or not.
You
I
have
have
a party or
the
something?
day before.
Wow,
Yes.
a
Have a
50th
yeah.
birthday party.
It's for Lou. Lou's gonna be 50.
Good old Lou. That's our home stager Monica's husband.
Yeah.
Poor guy, 50 years old, eh?
Yeah. We'll give him the gears for sure.
I'm sure you will. And it's not a surprise, hopefully.
No.
No.
Yeah. Oops. Oopsie.
Oh, boy. Well, listen, don't forget, if you're thinking of buying or selling a home, the Dan Gemus team would love to help. Give us a call, 519-566-5565, or you can visit us online at dangemus.com to book your free home market evaluation. The office is open 7 days a week, so we'd love to help and come say hello. On next week's show, we have an exciting one. We're going to talk to Margaret Kettler from Blue Water Pools. She'll be in studio with us to talk all about pools.
Ooh, sounds like a swimming idea.
You don't have a pool, Sue? I don't have a pool.
No, I would like one.
Would you
but
like
my
one?
husband, my husband said no because
Tim's
I'm going to have to clean
kibosing
it.
it.
Yeah.
Someone's got to clean it.
Yes, we'll probably hear more about that.
I'm sure we will.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, won't we? Keep it tuned right here to AM800 for Sunday Morning Live with Kara Rowe up next. Have a great weekend, everybody.
You've been listening to the Dan Gemus Real Estate Show.